Hi, this is Ernest, and this is Tap for Green, and this is my Gyrus Walker Corpse EDH deck. This has been a few months, but yeah, a lot's been going on. So I'll get to it. I won't bore you with all the details of my life. So what is a random commander? A random commander is basically you just go to edhrec.com and you push the random button, and whatever commander you get, you build off of. So we're gonna try to keep it under $50, um, but like any budget, it may tip over a little or it may be under. So who knows? So, what are the rules and exclusions to our builds? The rules that we have are no band commanders, no official commanders, and the commander or commanders must be under $3 or less for our budget. It could be over, but for budget's sake, let's try to keep it under. Just as a disclaimer, this budget for this deck was checked using mtggolddivision.com on March 21st, 2020. For the price of these cards are subject to change due to, not but limited to, using different deck builder websites, sellers, and shipping costs, and overall card market changes over time. What is our strategy with Gyrus the Corpse Walker? Well, we want to fill up our graveyard as fast as possible with creatures. And then we want to attack with our commander to create a token of that creature in our graveyard to help us win the game. Let's rock and ramp. All right, let's get to our ramp package. So the mana artifacts that we're going to be using are Golgari Locket, Gruul Locket, and Rakdos Locket. And these are just great just for budget sakes because we can sack them later for card advantage. And our other mana artifacts are going to be Golgari Signet, Gruul Signet, and Rakdos Signet. So the more the merrier when it comes to signets. Our other ramp packages, Rampant Growth, Cultivate, Kadama's Reach, and Curious Root. Curious Root is good overall because we're going to run multiple gates for our deck. So, of course they come in tap, but that's fine. Color fixing is always great. All right, so there's another ramp package we have. And for our creatures is going to be Sylvan Ranger, Wood Elves, Farhaven Elf, Yamata Elder. I'm pretty sure I slaughtered that name, but that's fine. And Security Tribe Elder. All these creatures are great just because they can be pitched to the graveyard and we can come back for them, and if we need more ramp. Fortunate Gyrus has a high mana cost, so this is the reason why the ramp package is a little high, just because we need it to bring them out as fast as possible. So our next subject we're going to talk about is filling up the graveyard, and we want to do that with some spells and multiple things. The reason why is because we want to reuse these resources for later. That may necessarily not be the best advantage for us at the moment, so let's get into it. So we're going to go through our looting effects, Tormenting Voices, Catherine's Reunion, Flatus Looting, and Book Devourer. These are all great. Book Devourer is a little interesting because that does damage when it deals damage to a player. But you may discard all the cards in your hand and draw that many cards. So choose it as you want. You want to play it. If you get the damage across, it's great. But it's a wheel effect in a way. Self-mill, we're going to go with Mulch, Grisly Salvage, Grapple with the Past, and Ransack the Lab. Self-mill is pretty explanatory. It's giving us advantage for a graveyard, although there may be some sweet cards we may lose, but that's kind of the risk we have to take. Our next self-mill package is Satyr's Wayfinder and Grossporth Shaman. These enter the battlefield, and they similarly do the same effect. You're going to grab a land back from the graveyard to your hand. So For those other cards and before, if we, maybe want to land that we wanted or needed, these can grab them back. So these are just two little cheap creatures that you can use. The best cards for our discarding for free would be Lawful Troll and Key to the City. Both of these cards are great. Lawful Troll, you can discard a creature card, you put a 1/1 counter on it, and you can also pay 1 black to regenerate it to keep it safe. But we're going to mainly use that first effect just because we're going to toss our creatures and we're going to get them back later with our commander. Key to the City is great just because it does something for free if you tap it, of course. Discard a card, any card, doesn't have to. Then one target creature cannot be blocked this turn. And we're going to use that our advantage for our commander because when it gets damages across, and you get that creature trigger from the graveyard to the battlefield. So yeah. All right, we do have a small dredge package, and our dredge package is Kagara Drave Troll and Shambling Shell. And these two cards are great just because they will do the same thing our other creatures do with self-milling, but we can bring them back from the graveyard. If I would draw a card, instead of putting those exact number of, I put the exact number with it can be 3 or 6 from the top of your library into your graveyard, you can return this card from the graveyard to your hand, otherwise draw a card. So essentially we can keep, reusing them multiple times if we need to, but most of the time we're going to probably use them twice and they're going to pay for themselves at that point. We do have a tutoring package for this deck, and it's very simple and easy. So we have Buried Alive, Gerard's Orders, and Corpse Connoisseur. So all these cards do very similar effects. We're going to search for a card for our library. Usually it's going to be a creature, and we're going to toss it into our graveyard. And yeah, we're going to use that resource for later on with Gyrus. We do have our token producers, Broodmate Dragon, Hornet Queen, and Azoni Thousand Eyes. When they enter the battlefield, then we get our tokens. When these creatures enter the battlefield, we're going to get a 4/4 dragon. Hornet Queen's going to give us 4 green insects with flying and death touch. And Azoni, depending on our creatures in the graveyard, we're going to get that many black and green insect creatures. I've played with both of these cards before, and I really love Felden just because you can create a copy of a token in your graveyard as an artifact, as additional to its type, and it gains haste, sacrifice at the end of turn, at the end of your end step, and you can use them multiple turns. I actually ran a Felden deck before, and it's fun. This one's a newer card from last year. For Selesnyan Eulogist, we're going to exile target creature from our graveyard, then we're going to populate, so we're going to use these hand in hand if we can. Well, most of the time we're going to use this effect with Gyrus. We're going to copy the token. We're going to copy the token, then, that when the other token goes away, we still have a copy of it. So win-win for us. We do have a support cards. And our support cards is Swiftfoot Boots and Whisper Silk Cloak. These are two great because, one gives it hexproof and haste, and the other one gives it shroud and unblockable. Now we do have a counter support package. Is Winding Constrictor, Corpse Jack Menace, and Verdurous Gearhulk. These are all great just because I'd probably say the first two are great. Verdurous Gearhulk is just dumping. You're just going to dump all the counters onto your commander. But the other two, they're going to slowly build it up over time. Now we do have a trample support package, is Bronze. Soon, as long as he's in your graveyard and you control a forest, which most of the time you will, your creatures will always have trample. So this is going to work hand in hand for our commander, just because we just want to get that damage across. And now we do have an enchantment support, Rhythm of the Wilds and Greater Good. This is just great just because we're going to use either haste or put a 1/1 counter. But more importantly, our commander is not going to get countered as long as this is on the field. Greater Good, we're going to sacrifice any creature, or we can even sacrifice our own commander to draw that many cards equal to its power, then discard 3 cards, which is not bad. And for this deck, just because if there are cards we're going to use later, we're going to get them back anyway. Now let's talk about removal and disruption. Our removal package is going to include Beast Within, Chaos Warp, and Putrefy. These are all solid staples of Commander. Our artifact and enchantment removal is going to be Nature's Claim, Reclamation Sage, and Acidic Slime. These are all great in their own way. For Reclamation Sage and Acidic Slime, we can use them multiple times with Gyrus. If they're in the graveyard, we can get them back, and we can use them for what we need at the time. Our disruption package is going to be Fleshbarg Marauder and Plaguecrafter. They basically do the same, but except for Plaguecrafter, if your opponent has no creatures or no planeswalkers to sacrifice, each player who can't discards a card. So that's actually good, actually really great, because we're going to hit our opponent anyway, no matter if they didn't have anything on the field. Our next removal package is actually 2 creatures. It's Ravenous Chupacabra and Shrinkmaw. So when they enter the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls. And Shrinkmaw is a little different. It has to be a non-artifact, non-black creature. It does have fear, which it's really not going to do a lot of damage. That's not what we're going to really use it for. We're just going to use it for its EPT effect, and that's about it. And we do have one fireball effect with Fire Blast Dragon, and we can actually use this effect in hand when we attack with Gyrus. When it comes to the field, as he'll be attacking, you can just pay his effect, and you can deal that much damage to any target, just in case you want to do that extra damage. Our mass remove package is Gaze of the Granite. Destroy each non-land permanent with a converted mana cost of X or less. Our land badges is going to include our simple package where it's going to help us fix. So we have some tap lands that gain you 1 life. We have our guild gates, Golgari, Rakdos, and Gruul. And we have 1 tri-land. We also have our Evolving Wilds and our Terramorphic Expanse to help us fix even more. And we have our Jund Panorama and our Blighted Woodlands. We have also, I would say, a great card to have is Rogue's Passage. So pay 4, target creature cannot be blocked this turn. This will work hand in hand with Gyrus. And we have 11 forests, 4 mountains, and 8 swamps. Our total cost is going to be around $52, with some change involved using the MTG Goldfish price system. So yeah, what are my thoughts on this Commander deck, or Gyrus in general? I think Gyrus is a fine commander with a unique ability in play. You could play around with the creatures in your graveyard with EPT effects. The drawbacks of your commander, I think it suffers from not having trample and haste. Also, the tokens are exiled at the end of combat, which is kind of a bummer, because I really want them to stay, but it is what it is. So yeah, well, thank you for listening, and yeah, hopefully the next video won't take 4 months. But yeah, this is Taps for Green, and this is Ernest, and you have a great day.